just different.
I am the world changer, coded by the blue storm. My number is 19, the power of all number. I am the master alchemist, the force behind the philosopher's stone. Skilled at the art of transmutation. I am the catalytic transformer of world consciousness and planetary living. I oversee the changes of the weather. I am the thunder that shatters your world systems. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies. It was I who caused the triple Aztec monuments of the Avatar archetype to appear in the ancient temple grounds. I oversee the morning and the evening stars. I behold the creator of the fifth sun, the present world. Sent forth am I to dwell among you, calling forth the sixth sun. For the great regeneration of the world's soul, to know me is to know your own power of self-generation. To know me is to know your own power of self-generation. Self-generation is power. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies.
All right. And Lakesh Alakin, welcome back to Synchronistic Talk. My name is Neb Teharka Kanishkawak, and I'm excited to share some powerful information with you today. A lot of what we talk about comes from what I call a fourth dimensional perspective, in the fact that, or in the idea that time is the evolution of consciousness. And as we look at things from a more fourth dimensional perspective, we look at it more holistic, less how does it affect me, and how does it affect the whole, right? The whole energy of consciousness. So it's a very great perspective to look at to help you evolve through different stages of consciousness so you can realize yourself as different aspects of the Creator on your journey of remembrance. All right. I want to start just by going through the prayer of the 7 galactic directions, and then we're going to talk about how to let go of judgment and expectation. All right. The prayer of the 7 galactic directions is a prayer to bring in the spiritual etheric body in with the electrical light body to be able to inform us of insights to help us get answers for where we are in our personal walk of improving ourselves spiritually and evolving in its own right. So with that, I'd like to go ahead with the prayer and listen to the words very closely and be able to open up your channel to receive. From the east, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us so we may see all things in clarity. From the north, house of night, may wisdom ripen in us so we may know all from within. From the west, house of transformation, may wisdom be transformed into right action so we may do what must be done. From the south, house of the eternal sun, may right action reap the harvest so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. From above, house of heaven, where star people and ancestors gather, may their blessings come to us now. From below, house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies to end all war. And from the center, galactic source, which is everywhere at once. May everything be known as the light of mutual love. Ayum Hunapku Eva Maya E Maho. Ayum Hunaku Eva Maya E Maho. Ayum Hunaku Eva Maya E Maho. All hail the harmony of mind and nature. Ashe, Ashe, and Asheo. All right. So to bring us into vibrational alignment, as we talk about, we study Olmec in Mayan cosmology, and there's 2 out of the 17 calendars or calendrical systems that these indigenous beings followed. That's very interesting to me, and how we can use it to evolve. One is the 13 moon calendar or 13 moon cycles. And then there's the 260-day calendar we call the Zolkin. And what happens is, as we start following these cycles, it helps us to see the illusions of the calendar that we follow, the Gregorian calendar, which also can help us advance ourselves from the programming that we receive, to be a successful person in society. And some aspects of that is very important. And some of it, but it's not your purpose. So I want you to write down that what might be important may not be your purpose. And so as we become aware of this, we are now able to really position ourselves to say, well, what is our purpose? How does that work when I'm parenting? How does that work when I'm dealing with my spouse? How does it work with friends, companions of destiny? How does that work when I'm working on healing myself? And the answer to that is very simple. It works because it's your destiny to allow ill health to unfold so you can address it and resolve it and be healthy. Let's just say that there are some issues in alignment with your purpose. Your purpose may take you down a path to take you through poverty so that you can understand prosperity. But a lot of times, if we experience poverty, we become consumed with impoverished thinking and judgment. All right. And so it's the judgment that keeps perpetuating poverty. Part is a major contributing factor. Well, how about, let's just talk about companions of destiny, like relationships. And what is your relationship like with your mother, your father, your children, your spouse, or someone who you aspire to have a type of union with? Well, see, that purpose is all about how the attributes that person brings to the table that areas you may be weak in, and vice versa, so that now we can cease judgment and see, hey, what can I learn from you, and what can you learn from me? And now let's unify that and work in those areas and not try to control one another. You see, purpose already has in it the unfoldment of its outcome. Purpose is very powerful. The seed knows its purpose. Okay, so with that being the case, and talking about how this relates to judgment and things of that nature, we now are in a position to say, all right, wait a minute. How do I spiritually, because I'm telling you, I learned a long time ago that no matter what we have going on in our life, if your spiritual life is not intact, you're in trouble. Because when the pressure comes, right, from bad decisions, when the pressure comes from errors in judgment, when the pressure comes when you feel inadequate, that spiritual system, that cosmology is so important at that point, because now it can stabilize you in an area where, in a time where you might feel unstable. And a lot of times we minimize this, and we We think spirituality makes us feel good, or when we're in spirituality, we feel inspired. And that's a part of it. But let me show you what real inspiration is. Can you be inspired when everything is going wrong? Can you feel inspired? Now, be and feel can be two different things. Can you be and feel inspired when you're sad? Can you feel and be inspired when you just got looked over for a promotion? Can you feel and be inspired when your spouse said, I don't no longer want to do this anymore? That is the real time that you need the inspiration to help be the yellow brick road or to guide you on a difficult path. And instead of saying, oh man, I must have did something wrong. No, you must have did something right, for you can have this come into the forefront of your experience. And in that experience, be able to address what it is that you've come in contact with, that you're realizing. And so these things that are surfacing is not because you're a bad person. It's because your awareness, the level of your awareness has increased. And now certain things that you may have buried in the past has now surfaced for you to address. And this is the time that we often turn to judgment. We judge those circumstances. We judge those people, not knowing that that's the key to our salvation. That's the key to us getting beyond it and not repeating it. And so that's what happens. And so when I look at this, I say, wow, think about what I'm talking about, that you get to address the issues that come up when you advance spiritually. When you advance spiritually, you see things from a different lens. So something that you may have buried or may have been right there in your face, you didn't have the consciousness to see. But now as you move forward spiritually, or you're evolving, the lenses that you're looking at everything with, now it's like night vision goggles. That's exactly how it is. You now are able to see everything you wasn't looking at before. And you're like, oh man, I must be a bad person. Oh man, where did all this stuff come from? How did it get here? It must be them. That's the problem. And that's when judgment kicks in, and what we judge, we become. What we judge, we become. Because we've buried that energy somewhere, and you now have elevated yourself, and it has elevated itself for you to address. And then we deny God the opportunity of resolving what we buried that we didn't know how to fix back when we buried it. And so one of the key things that's challenging is that when we come into opposition or adversity, is how do we address things? It's like sometimes we become more spiritual so that we can say nothing happens to me. Well, you don't know how powerful the spirit is if it's not challenging some of the aspects of you that you need to change. All right. And I want to drive this home, because this is the foundation of how judgment comes in. Your awareness looks at everything else and can judge everything else. But a lot of the times we don't look at the inner being, right? We don't look at, oh, this stuff is surfacing from stuff I buried back in the day, or that I have hid from myself. And so now what do I do with it? Let me tell you what you do with it. You get excited about it. And you say, I get to address you, right? Not judge you. I want you to say that with me. Instead of judging it, I want you to address it. That's what it's there for. But what happens is when we judge it, we end up judging ourselves, and we tell our subconscious, repeat that experience that we just had, because it flows through feeling and emotion. Is a big thing that the subconscious responds to. And then so it doesn't make sense. How am I getting all this knowledge? How am I advancing myself? How am I going to this country and that country and working with these different types of people that's enlightening me on different things? So why am I still experiencing, right, lack? Well, it's not that you're experiencing lack to reflect to you that you are in a state of mind of lack. What it's doing is saying, here's how you get beyond lack, by addressing this is what's right in front of your face. You get to address it. You got to equals stress. Get to equals free will, opportunity. Okay. And just right there, if you have that type of attitude about when certain things show up in your life, hey, maybe this isn't a reflection on a bad decision or me being a bad decision maker right now. Maybe that's from decisions I made that were not so good in the past, but it's here for me to address, not judge. And as I address this within myself, not point the finger at other people, I get to advance beyond this at a higher state of consciousness. You know the value of when you advance to a higher state of consciousness? Watch this. You become very magnetic in the process. You start to collapse time frames as to what you want to happen faster. The velocity increases in which you're able to create something or attract something into your life that you truly desire in your heart. That is your will to experience, right? And so when we talk about judgment, the next step is expectation. See, we start expecting things to happen a certain kind of way. And when we don't, you see, when we don't get what we expect, what we get is disappointment. Now, I want you to write this down, right? There's no use in having high expectations in humans, friends, family, etc., because they will always disappoint you at some point. Nobody can live up to the barometer of how you see yourself as a God being, as the spirit of God in you. Nobody can do that for you. So the whole point is that if nobody can do that for you, then that means you can't do that for anyone else. And you doing that for someone else is like having an expectation of them for your benefit. And when it doesn't benefit you, you get disappointed. It should be mutually beneficial, right? And you don't have to expect something from someone else to get to mutually benefit. Because let me tell you what happens when we have expectation and the expectations are so exciting. Man, I just met this new person. I just got this new job. And then 90 days later, I may have to find another job. 6 months later, I don't know if this relationship is going to work out. A year later, I don't think my health is quite where I was taking this new supplement and I thought it was going to be good and it's not so good. I got this test and that test and so these illusions are now playing tricks with my mind. My mind is playing tricks on me. But you playing tricks with your own mind. Now, The reason why I bring this up, because with expectation, immediately follows at some point, I won't say immediate, disappointment. Now, you answer this question for me. Do you think that disappointment is going to magnetize something that's progressive and enlightening that you want, or something that's more depressing that you want? You can put that in the chat, whether you're on IG or YouTube or Facebook or what have you. Put that in the chat. What do you think? I'm using some logic here to show you it doesn't make sense to have an unrealistic expectation. Now, we have human expectations. This person gonna stay on that side of the road while I'm driving. It's amazing how people traffic, and we don't have more accidents. People stay on the side of their road, and some of them under the influence. Well, that's a natural expectation that they're going to stay on this side, but sometimes they don't. And guess what you got to be ready for? The time that they don't stay on this side of the road. But expectation creates disappointment when it don't work out. When we're the foundation is judgment. And when you're disappointed, you don't evolve into enlightenment. What happens is you get disappointed, and then you start believing that you are the circumstance that just occurred. You are the disappointing situation. You are that within yourself. And then what happens to that? We slip into a depression. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? And so you move in the opposite direction. You move into the sunken place. You move into the downward spiral. And you can be somebody who is very conscious and aware around everybody else. But how are you when you're all by yourself and you come into challenges that nobody knows you're experiencing? This is the time that spiritual foundation is needed. This is the time when I need to get quiet. I know who I am comes in. And ask for the answers, already being prepared to carry out the instructions when those answers come. So we have to be careful with disappointment. In fact, I've heard it said best. We must discipline our disappointment. Because if you don't discipline your disappointment is going to punish you with depression. And then after depression becomes suicidal. And then with suicidal becomes elimination. Now, mental illness is real. People are experiencing this right now. Those may not be just this immediate group, but people you never thought was experiencing mental illness or depression or having suicidal thoughts, because they always have a smile on their face and they say everything is great, but you don't know when you lead them if they're living in quiet desperation or not. And it all started with judgment and expectation. And then once you look at your self-image and you think you can't live up to your own expectation, then now you don't think you're worthy. And then what happens is your deserve level, instead of staying up here, comes down here. And it magnetizes more phenomena from things that are down here in the sunken place. Somebody breaks in your car. You lock your keys in the car. Your car gets booted. The car stops in the middle of the freeway in rush hour, and you need to get to a recital for your daughter or your son. Why is this happening right now? And if you look at who you are in that moment, you might blame yourself and say, I should have done this. And here we go judging ourselves. That's not what you should do. What you should do and say, hey, this came here in this experience for me to address. And I'm going to address this once and for all. And when you do it once and for all, it doesn't come back again. Anything that you master, you don't have to learn it again. So why just get on the surface and kind of learn it? Master it, because then you know you don't have to have an expectation. You know what you have the ability and what you're capable of. And now you can have more certainty that you make your decisions with. And now we can look at helping other people with their judgment at that point, because you've addressed your issues. Now today it's interesting. On the Tzolk'in calendar, today is kin number 200 out of 260, and this is the yellow overtone sun, right? The 20th archetype. Let me read to you the affirmation. This is impressive, right? I empower. Stop there. You empower is starting off the right way. That if we have a judgment or expectation and you don't have no power, you're not going to be able to change the subject, the circumstance. So I empower in order to enlighten. I empower myself. I empower others. Commanding life. I tell life what to do. Not life tell me what to do. I mean, what am I here with all this power if everything in life, the ants, everything get to tell me what to do? And I came here with a divine purpose. Are you kidding me? I seal the matrix of universal fire or universal love with the tone of radiance. We have a saying that states, your radiance dissolves any frequencies that's not aligned with your divine purpose. I am guided by the power of elegance. I empower in order to enlighten. Commanding life. I seal the matrix of universal fire. With the tone of radiance, I am guided by the power of elegance. One more time to lock it in. I empower in order to enlighten. Commanding life. I seal the matrix of universal fire. With the tone of radiance, I am guided by the power of elegance. Ashe, Ashe, and Asheo. Let me read to you what it says about the enlightened one, or also known as the sun archetype. Now, what we can learn from these archetypes is this is a template of how energy flows. You see, wherever attention goes, energy flows. How many of you have heard that before? If you haven't, write that down. Wherever your attention goes, energy flows. Okay? And so we need to know how to work with ourselves on an energetic level, because wherever our attention is, we're going to magnetize the energy with that same frequency. Let's look at what it says about the enlightened one. I am the enlightened one, coded by the yellow sun. My number is 20. The universe totality. In meditation was I conceived. From meditation was I born. And for long eons I have dwelt deep within this meditation. I am the higher truth and the renewer of life. I turn the cosmic wheel of the law, given pure mind teachings among the stars. I am the harmonic keeper of the blazing fields of infinite light. Many names am I called, but they only name my outer form, my fiery cloak that you call the sun. The enlightenment of one is the enlightenment of all. I am the fulfillment of the prophecy for the Hunab-Ku, awakening all beings simultaneously is my task. In many places have I awakened, and every place I go, I know only by the name Tolan. Tolan of the awakened ones. To know me is to know the light of truth that illumines all beings. Ashe, Ashe, and Asheo. All right, so if energy flows where attention goes, how can you ever take it to judgment? Energy flows where attention goes. Your attention is on judging yourself or judging somewhere else. Energy is now in the form of circumstances, flows into and magnetized by your thoughts. And so now you have something presented for you to address, because this is a replication of your thinking. Energy goes where energy flows, where attention goes. What is your attention on? Is your attention on lack? I don't have enough money. This always seems to happen to me. Okay, here we go. Energy flows in the form of what? Circumstances. You think that's just a God somewhere out in the sky saying, let me see this person, this name out of 7 billion people. You've been bad, so I'm going to punish you. There's a consciousness that supports that, but there's a consciousness beyond that that says, you know what? That's happening because that's just where your attention is. Change your attention. You don't have to do nothing, but change your attention. Change what you have your attention on, and you'll change the circumstances that come into your life. Right? And let's talk about one more time about expectation, because this is the shadow aspect of the sun. And then expectation. I expect more from you. Instead of you expecting more from you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to expect more from yourself. Oh, you didn't do this good enough for me, Mom. You didn't do this good enough for me, Dad. You didn't hold me long enough. Okay, well, you are a full adult now. Right? So now you get to change what you didn't have and give yourself what you need right now. Energy flows where attention goes. And so therefore, the expectation for someone else turns into a disappointment in yourself. So this is how I remember it. Every time I'm not traumatized by this, but this is how I get things done. I have to put something in my mind to make me remember. I don't need to have no expectations. Because if I have an expectation, that means I'm going to be disappointed in someone else. I'm going to be disappointed in myself. And at a subliminal level, that's what's happening. That's a subtle judgment that continues to build inside until it comes out in the form of depression, anxiety, fear, apathy, and uncontrollable desires to cover it all up. And so this is why we need to talk about this subject. So the next time you find yourself judging someone, right? Address them or it within yourself and watch how it goes away. Only judge it if you want it to happen again. Right? And if you want something to keep happening that's hurting you, then we need to address what is your purpose and do you even care about your purpose? So what's the solution to judgment and expectation? Let me tell you, is to have more compassion. The challenge that this archetype has is unconditional love for self. The overtoned dog or the compassionate one would be the challenge and the gift for this archetype. You don't have to understand that if you're new to this, but I'm telling you, this is something that we definitely have to address. Because again, if you don't have unconditional love for yourself, then you're going to judge other people and not address yourself. And now you're not going to be able to advance on this journey of remembrance, and you're going to be disappointed, and you're going to be walking around with the disappointment of all the isms. I'm too much of this, and I'm not enough of that. I shouldn't have did this 10 years ago. I should have made this decision and that decision. And the only decision is what you're going to do right now. It's not where you've been, it's where you're going. And I'm hoping that I'm reaching some people out here, because there's a lot of people on the surface. I'm doing great. I'm learning new spiritual concepts, new cosmology. I'm more knowledgeable than I've ever been. And sometimes that can be the most miserable place if you can't apply the knowledge. Because what? Knowledge is only potential power. Applied knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. And so for those of you who are new to the cosmology, we're in the evolutionary cycle of the pathfinder, the warrior, that deals with fearlessness, right? Questioning, fearlessness, and intelligence. What kind of intelligence are you going to build so that you can advance yourself on life's trajectory, on your path of enlightenment? Enlightenment is pure consciousness. And so we're all aligning the best that we can with this pure consciousness so we can be better humans on the planet. This is why we talk about the synchronistic human. And as I read the synchronistic human, the definition that made so much sense to me is someone who's able to be multidimensional while unifying the energy. Wait a minute. The energy goes where the attention flows. Energy flows where the attention goes. So we're unifying energy from different dimensions, from the synchronicities of natural time cycles, because it's our nature to be powerful, energetic beings, towards the holonomic evolution, the whole evolution of all of humanity, Mother Earth, and the galactic whole. All that means is that I am this physical body. I am the spirit and nature. I'm connected there as well. And I am the energy and the light that illumines this whole universe, all encapsulated in this body. That's why wherever my mind thinks, I become. But it's thinking in your heart. That's why they say, as a man or a woman thinketh in his or her heart, then so is she or he. So sometimes we got to remember this while we're getting all this great knowledge. We got to remember so that we don't let the circumstances beat up on us. How many of y'all been beat up by some circumstances? I'm telling you, some of these circumstances are can be extremely painful. Extremely painful. Right? And we get embarrassed. We don't want nobody to see us getting beat up. And then we start judging ourselves. And this is how this whole cycle comes out. All right. So I want everybody in this synchronistic talk. One of the things that we're doing, and we're going through the galactic archetypes from the Zolkin calendar, the Mayan and Olmec cosmology, and we're going through the shadow aspects. We all go through some sort of judgment and some sort of expectation. And we got to monitor what it does, how it makes us feel, how it makes us think, what kind of circumstances it creates, so that we understand and we can address it in accordance with how we are aligned with our purpose. If you don't know your purpose, then we need to talk, because a lot of times our purpose is so simple. Like my purpose is to empower and catalyze things. It's not to be a doctor, although I could be a doctor and empower and catalyze what? Healing. I could be a business tycoon and empower and catalyze wealth for myself and others. I could be a person who's romantic, right? And be in relationship and truly be able to have the greatest aspects of that. But I'm telling you, this cosmology, the law of time, is the whole ideal of what we know as the Gregorian calendar is obsolete. And it's connected to how we think and how we're programmed. And if we don't disrupt that program, the program is going to take us into a very dark place that we may or may not be able to get out of. These are some of the teachings of the Synchronistic Human School of Enlightenment. And I want to invite you all to join us in our studies on how to evolve during the new time. All right. Anybody have any questions about how to let go of judgment, or you're dealing with something? Please put it in the chat. You know, I definitely want to help, because right now it's not about what I'm giving you to get you excited and giving you gems to move forward. If you're never going to address the blockages, you can only go so far. It's like they put a big stake in the ground and a chain, and they put it on the dog, and the dog can only go so far, right? And a longer chain means the dog can go a little bit farther, but can still only go so far. So when we put a chain on us, what that chain looks like is how we're moving about and dealing with this judgment and expectation. It really is. So, you know, in this synchronistic talk, we're going to be having these shadow aspects for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and then we're going to move into having guests on here. So we want all of you to definitely be a part of what we're doing. All right. So we have from IG. Can you say one more time about that part on judging yourself? Yeah, when you judge yourself, right, you really have a self-image. Like first of all, let's talk about when you judge other people. When you judge other people, right, you immediately are judging yourself. Now, I look at the self as the power of God in us, not Teharka, you know, the physical Teharka. I look at the self as the unlimited power of God in me, right? So if I judge that pure consciousness that's in me, then I definitely have limited myself in what it can do in terms of its capabilities to help me get through different circumstances, right? But if you judge yourself, you're limiting yourself, because yourself don't need to be judged. It need to be allowed to address the different things that are coming into our life that we may like or dislike, but they're coming into our life for us to address. So instead of judging what comes into your life or yourself, you want to address what's coming into your life or what's coming through yourself. All right. And the self, what I tell you, the unlimited power of God in us will always give us, through intuition, an answer. And if you receive the answer in your heart, you'll receive instructions. The question is, are you going to follow those instructions? And most of us don't. Most of us say, man, my intuition told me that, but went and did something completely different. So hopefully I answered your question. I see Ambrosia. Any tips on finding that thing to remind you of your motivations? Yeah. Any tip? Let me give it to you. Ask, what is my motivation here? All right. What is my motivation? What? And I love the word to distinguish between motivation and inspiration. Right? When we're inspired, we're in spirit. Now the spirit has to move, right? But we're in spirit. So a lot of us are just in spirit and say, wow, I'm in spirit. Motivation is how you move when you're inspired. Okay? So when we talk about motivation, there's really some different levels of motivation. The first level of motivation is money, but it's the lowest level. Because think about it, if money was the biggest motivator, we have a lot more people that have a lot more money, because there's a lot of ways to make money. The next level of motivation is personal gain. That someone has something to personally gain from something, and so they become motivated or they move into action. Okay. And then the next level is personal conviction. You become convicted about something in the spirit. And now that energy from the inspiration moves you through how you feel or what happened to you in the past. And we're able to move forward because we're convicted in the spirit. You see a lot of this in the church. When someone feels convicted spiritually about something, it could be somebody they love past and they want to carry on their legacy. You know, it could be somebody got inspired at a speaker at a homegoing or a graduation or anything, and they become convicted, like, oh, I got to do this. And that's what the source of their energy comes to accomplish something. Personal conviction. And then there's the duty level. Then when it's somebody's duty, that means they will die for their purpose. That means that they were born to do this, and they're willing to die for it. So that's a high level of motivation. It's very hard to stop a person that's willing to die for what they believe in, right? And then the highest level is purpose, even beyond that. Purpose. So we have to figure out which of those are going to motivate us based on where our consciousness is right now. And that's how we move in and out of different circumstances and different stages of self-talk, what we got going on. All right. Lovely Spirit 54. I think my purpose is to be a healer because I attract people who are broken. Oh, and the brokenness can be a reflection of something you need to heal within yourself. So that's true. What will start that process is if you make sure you turn it inwards and see the areas that you may need to heal in. And there's nothing bad about that. It's nothing bad about that. The more you heal yourself, the more you heal other people, because your spirit speaks to their spirit, and it's the healing power. We don't really heal the people. Our spirit of healing speaks to their spirit of healing, and their spirit of healing speaks to them through intuition, and the intuition tells them what they need to do to heal themselves. That's what happens. Great question. These are good questions. And to the last person, if you know your kin number, I can tell you more about this whole healing part. If you don't know your kin number, make sure you message me, and I'll make sure you get your kin number and talk to you about the aspect of healing or how that relates to healing. Because when we're talking about galactic consciousness in these kin, we're talking about a whole different way of thinking, right? That disrupts systemic programming, that makes us very mechanical versus spiritual. All right. And so now we just expire instead of inspire. Any other questions? I don't see any in Clubhouse. I think that's all the questions. Use this time. Oh, that was Lovely Spirit 54. Thank you for that question. And yeah, I definitely want to know your kin number. Holly Nay, can you speak a little about kin 115? That would be in a personal consultation, but I will say kin 115 is the spectral eagle. And the eagle deals with create, mind, and vision. Okay. And so the eagle, okay, it deals with focus, and it's great power. The ego and the archetype, in terms of the archetypes, deals with keeping the covenant. So I love to talk to you more about kin 115. We have a few 115s in our group. We have a lady from Bermuda, and we have another brother from Florida who's a 115. And really it's dissolving, you know, so you can create your vision and establish your mind with that vision. And so it's really powerful. So the spectral tone is always dealing with what do you need to dissolve so you can be free. All right. So definitely, Holly, message me and we could talk deeper about it. I'm sure that there's some things that I can share that can enlighten you to go deeper into your evolutionary process. Rhonda Kin 199 asked the question, how can you tie judgment issue into tone 4? So tone 4 is the self-existing tone. So here we go with the self. So judgment is a big deal with how you define yourself and others. So the self-existing tone deals with defining, right? Measuring and forming opinions, right? Forming judgments, forming or materializing things, building things. So, you know, the whole thing is that judgment issue can be tied with everything. So let's talk about defining, you know, defining something from a limited perspective and judging, right? The effect of what you define or what you thought can definitely cause you to judge yourself. And in being able, when we talk about self-existing, we're talking about standalone. We're talking about it doesn't need anything else, right? It exists as it is, right? But a lot of times we'll judge and think that we need more than what we already got. And we don't. We got everything that we need to move forward. All right. So when you talk about another one is the expectation. So when you define things, I'll give you a good example too. Let's just say we say, you know what? I'm not a very timely person. We're defining our relationship of how we schedule things, right? We're defining that by making that statement. I'm not very good at ... whatever that is. So we're defining something and we're defining it by judging ourselves. I'm not is an abomination of the truth. I am able, right? I am is God. I'm good at everything that I work at or work on. I could be good at anything. The I am is absolute in us. So it's just a matter of what we want to experience. All right. So good question about how do you tie it to the self-existing tone. And it really depends on what forms, whatever your judgment and whatever you define, measure, and form. When you look at that form, whatever's formulated, if you judge it, then you're judging yourself because you created it, and now you just limited yourself. And then you demagnetize yourself to expand. And then we judge that we can't expand. I can't go any further. This always seems to happen to me. That's when that self-fulfilling prophecy will come. So we got to be really careful about that. Okay. I think I got time for one more question. This is good stuff because we can get all this sophisticated knowledge, but if we can't deal with a gnat in our ear or something simple that's a blockage, well, we got life messed up if we think we're going to evolve into the best version of ourselves. All right, so let's see. I think that's it. How do we learn our KIN number? Definitely email me. You can look up your KIN number. We have apps. We have a place on the website, the Law of Time website, where you can put in your birth date, and it'll tell you your KIN number. And that's basically where the solar seals and the cosmic tones of creation came together as an expression when you were born. And so this is based on a 260-day cycle, which is designed for spiritual evolution, according to the indigenous. What we're doing is everything else is based on how the earth revolves around the sun, and that's important, but it's not important as how we got here as sons, how we incarnated, what our journey of remembrance is. That's what that 260 cycle and the KIN triggers and invokes in terms of our memory. So this is a memory jogger to help us come into being. All right. So that's how we get. So just if you send your email me or message me, hey, this is my birthday. I even got somebody that can show you right now, but we don't have to show everybody what your birth date is and what your KIN number is if you don't want. That's fine. And yes, Ambrosia, who is going to be heading up the new KIN orientation, I also highly recommend that you come to our new KIN orientation, which is going to be tomorrow night. It's going to be phenomenal. So those of you who are new or existing, we got a phenomenal layout for those of you to really see the power in your KIN number and what we call your destiny oracle, so that you can evolve. And so we're just starting this. First one is tomorrow that we've had since we started this last year. So if you are new and you want to get more information about this, definitely look in the chat. You'll see the different messages that we have. Copy this, screenshot this. More importantly, if you message me, I can send you a direct link so you'll have it for your records. And at 8 o'clock tomorrow, chime in. You'll be very impressed, hands down. Moon Goddess Ambrosia is going to be heading this up, and she has been preparing for this for almost a year to be able to do this. So when I tell you she is prepared beyond preparation, she is ready to really share and enlighten people with her knowledge on how to not only get your KIN number, know what it means, and know how to use it to help you evolve. Okay, so you don't want to miss it. Those of you that are on IG, those of you that are on Facebook or YouTube, or even in Clubhouse, you want to definitely make sure that you are invited. It's free to come, but man, let me tell you, the knowledge is priceless. It is priceless. And I remember when I got my KIN number, mine is the KIN 239, the blue overtone storm. And I said, this fits me to a T. Like the things that I didn't know that I thought was wrong with me, it fit me to a T. And I said, and so my purpose is to empower the cat in order to catalyze. So we'll find out your purpose according to this cosmology, and it help give you a lot of answers and put you on the path of enlightenment. So don't miss this. If you're new, semi-new, even if you've been around for a while, definitely chime in and see it's an excellent time to revisit some of the basics, and it's going to be flat out amazing. All right, so make sure you take a screenshot of this flyer so you know, put it on your calendar and join us for this session. It's going to be very powerful. Okay. All right. So definitely, and you're also free to email me if you got other questions. Until then, it's fine. And let's get together and let's evolve together. And I always like to say, and remember, evolution is the solution. So I'm going to sign off. Next time we get on, we're going to be talking about, we're going to be on kin number 207. And so we're going to be on the blue crystal hand, talking about accomplishment. So how that works from a spiritual perspective. Okay. And so we'd love to have you on. Invite people, like our work, comment, and let's continue to grow this concept together. With that being said, this is going to conclude our session. In Lakesh, I am another you. Alakim, you are another me. Hotep, Hetepu, and Namaste. I'll see you in the New Kin orientation tomorrow. Peace, everyone.
It's just different.
I am the world changer, coded by the blue storm. My number is 19, the power of all number. I am the master alchemist, the force behind the philosopher's stone. Skilled at the art of transmutation. I am the catalytic transformer of world consciousness and planetary living. I oversee the changes of the weather. I am the thunder that shatters your world systems. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies, spies. It was I who caused the triple Aztec monuments of the Avatar archetype to appear in the ancient temple grounds. I oversee the morning and the evening stars. I behold the creator of the fifth sun, the present world. Sent forth am I to dwell among you, calling forth the sixth sun. For the great regeneration of the world's soul, to know me is to know your own power of self-generation. To know me is to know your own power of self-generation. Self-generation is power. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies, spies.